My initial thoughts on euthanasia. I believe it should be legal, but right now in the U.S. it's technically illegal, and it is legal in the states of Washington, Oregon, Vermont, and parts of New Mexico. Medical advances have been nothing but positive in our society, but our modern technology can actually prolong lives that should have ended several times unless they were affected by our medical advances. So as long as the patients have consistently stable mental health, and if they're not affected by pressure from their family to end the caregiving process because they feel like they're a burden, I believe that it should be completely allowed. There are ulterior motives that should also be explored and evaded, like financial gains and, of course, the loss of moral support. This leads me to think that there should be some speculation put into the motives behind the choice of euthanasia, like mental health of the patient and the family members involved. I do believe that in most cases, euthanasia would be an ethical choice by the family and the afflicted individual to spare the patient from prolonged suffering if they know that it will not get better.
To take away their choice or option, not even choice, but their option to do this,
Initially, I found euthanasia or physician-assisted suicide to be okay, but only under some circumstances. I felt that if a patient was terminally ill and suffering, that he should be able to have the choice to die on his own terms and peacefully, but only under his family's consent first. And I only felt that patients with serious conditions should be considered for euthanasia. Those with mildly illnesses shouldn't be considered. Physician-assisted suicide is something very serious and needs to be thought out by the patients, doctors, and families before it happens. Dying with dignity is a term that has been floating around America ever since the popularization of Brittany Maynard's story by the media. Brittany is a famous case that has recently happened in America. She was terminally ill and looked into the treatment and found that if she were to be treated that it would take away all quality of her life, and then she would still possibly die. She decided with her family and husband to use physician-assisted suicide, but she had to move to Oregon, away from her home state of California, because it was legal in Oregon but not in California. Some say that Brittany is someone with strength for people to look up to for deciding to end her life early just so her family wouldn't have to see her suffer. Patients who want physician-assisted suicide are patients with extreme conditions who are inevitably going to suffer and die. They want to choose to die their own way and on their own terms peacefully. Many may think that this is selfish, and that they're not thinking of the family, but really mostly what patients who want this are thinking of is their family. They don't want their family to see them suffer, and they want to have a good ending with their family. Physician-assisted suicide allows for this. It allows families to say goodbye and creates a better last memory than what would have happened if physician-assisted suicide hadn't happened. Before this project, I only thought that patients afflicted and families of the patients were the only important elements of euthanasia. With my stakeholder being physicians, I quickly learned that this isn't the case and that physicians are very important to the process as well. After all, physicians are those assisting patients in their death. With the legalization of euthanasia, some physicians may be forced to sacrifice their own personal beliefs and ethics. Not only would they be sacrificing personal beliefs, but they would be breaking the Hippocratic Oath. When doctors take this oath, they are promising to always help their patients and to never harm them. But with physician-assisted suicide, they are harming patients, and this also breaks the trust with them because patients know that doctors are only supposed to help them, not harm them.
My initial thoughts on euthanasia is that, of course, it was wrong. I feel like euthanasia was a cheat code, or is a cheat code, to end the game early, and I feel like that is not right. I feel like there is value in suffering, even if you are terminally ill. you should still keep going on till the game is over, until pretty much you can't go any further, which will be death. Euthanasia should not be legalized at all, because it will also lead to maybe a lot of killings, because who's to say who is too ill to live or too or not healthy enough to live? Who's to say that? What is the line? Who draws that line, and where is it at? I feel like there's too much controversy on like how we will regulate euthanasia and who gets it or not. And how will we stop this from euthanasia from killing all the undesirable people in our society today? There are a lot of people, like homeless people, who maybe people who are not struggling look down upon. And who's to say that their taxes won't go to euthanizing people that may seem like they don't have a purpose in life from the exterior view? Who's to say all this? This is why I feel like euthanasia is wrong, and why it should not be legalized. And that is my initial view on euthanasia.